बसाया, उन्होंने ट्वीट करके बताया है। ये इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, जरूरत क्या है, नौटंकी क्यों कर रहे हैं? हरदीप पुरी जी के पास और अमित शाह जी के पास सारा डेटा है, कहां किस रोहिंग्या को बसाया, वहां उसको कर लो गिरफ्तार। ऐसी नौटंकी मचा रखी है, मतलब इन्होंने कोई देश चलाना थोड़ी है, सुबह से शाम तक नाटक करते रहते हैं ये लोग।
कोई ऐसा सगा नहीं जिसको केजरीवाल ने ठगा नहीं। एक ही झूठ को बार बार फैलाने से वे सच में नहीं बदल जाता। जो लोग झूठे नारे लगा रहे हैं वो भी ये बात जानते हैं, लेकिन केजरीवाल जी के विधायक ने रोहिंग्या को दिल्ली में बसाकर उन्हें मुफ्त राशन, पानी और बिजली दिया और साथ में हर एक को 10-10 हजार रुपए देकर उनका वोटर कार्ड भी बनाया है।
Okay, before we talk about the allegations around Rohingyas in the national capital, I want to begin with the back and forth over voter manipulation in Delhi ahead of assembly elections. And joining me on the broadcast are Shazia Ilmi, national spokesperson of the BJP, along with spokesperson of the AAP, Anjali Rai. Also with us on the broadcast is Advocate Sumit Chandar to put in a legal perspective and what can we expect and make of the ongoing controversy. And last but not the least, senior journalist Rashid Kidwai. Many thanks, gentlemen, and Shazia and Anjali for speaking to us this evening. My first question is to Anjali. Anjali, you know, now that there's a series of allegations from the AAP, a series of counter allegations from the Bharatiya Janata Party, I want to understand where the AAP is coming from when the Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal talks about, for instance, New Delhi Assembly, a constituency, and he's talking about 5,000 subtractions being sought, another 7,000 additions to the electoral rolls being sought by these applications. If there is merit to the fact that, you know, either there are some ghost voters that need to be, removed from the electoral list, or those who have the right to vote, what is the problem in that, Anjali?
Christine, there is lot of chaos. Like I can hear so many voices with your voice, like Hardeep Puri ji's wife and Kejriwal ji's voice. So please.
Okay, we'll fix that for you. Should I take in a word from Shazia instead? In the meanwhile.
Yes.
Okay, Shazia, let's begin with you. Shazia, what do you make of this? What do you make of the host of comments that have come in from the Aam Aadmi Party, from Sanjay Singh's wife's name being removed from the voter list, to how the BJP is conspiring against the AAP to benefit electorally?
So I have something broad to say. I'll come to specifics later, and I want to say that when Arvind Kejriwal has become, he's like that spider who's caught in his own web of lies. When you lie too much, and you start accusing others of playing the game that you have been playing, you get caught. So I think once again, he's been caught. Not just the fantastic expose done by your team, but not just your team, but many other instances where we have found out that Arvind Kejriwal is just completely beleaguered. People within his party want him out. They really feel that he has been doing a lot of injustice to what the party stood for. But more than that, and more importantly, the way he's been called out on the voter list, clearly he knows he's losing the elections. Clearly he knows that all that is done in terms of getting fake voter cards for people, and that has just been explained in New Delhi constituency, because something like 60,000 deletions have happened. Can you explain the fact that 60 or 61,000 voters have been deleted from the list from one particular ward? That particular ward in New Delhi constituency, which voted the least for Kejriwal. How do you explain that? So clearly, when you are the culprit and you know you're playing a game, so you're the only one who knows the rules of the game because you have been playing it, right? And so he's been caught cheating, lying, manipulating voter cards list himself, and now he's all out. And not just that, if you see the explanation given by the Delhi Electoral Office and the officers is very clear. You cannot have duplicate names. You cannot have voters of people who have moved out of the city. You cannot have registered voters on an address where they have been where they have a separate registration in the same city in another constituency. Those are very basic, simple things that everybody knows about. So whether it is booth level agents or booth level officers, the truth is for everybody to see. So I think Kejriwal is that spider who has been caught in his own web of deceit, lies, manipulation. And you can see from his body language that he is really like losing it. So, and imagine saying something as idiotic as that. Hardeep Puri ko giraftar kar lo. I mean, where is this man coming from? So clearly he's, he has a lot to think about. And finally,
that seems to be an attempt to unsettle
Kejriwal
something that's already been settled, at least officially by the central government. It's put out a notification and made its position amply clear as far as the EWS, flats are concerned. The allegation which was first raised by the Aam Aadmi Party back in the day. But before I go across to Mr. Kidwai, Sumit Chandar, you can put this in perspective. The impression that the Aam Aadmi Party seems to be sending out, and I'm afraid Anjali is still not through, otherwise would have let her in on the same. But the impression that the AAP seems to be casting at the moment is that applications are being filed. The intent is to either get rid of a certain voters or add voters to the electoral rolls. But this is not as simple as one is making it sound, right? So there is a process that's followed. It's a detailed, elaborate process in place. If you can quickly come in on the process before I go across to Mr. Kidwai with a pointed question.
Right. The process is defined under the Rule 25 of the Registration of Electoral Rules. That's been there since 1960. There is always a provision to revise the rules. What happens if there are complaints and objections which are there, it will start with publication of a draft electoral roll. Once the draft electoral roll is out, anybody who has an objection can move that objection, file that objection before the ERO, and the ERO then invites the claims and objections from all eligible citizens. After processing such applications, then the ERO would see and decide whether further inclusions, deletions, corrections can be carried out, and accordingly the final electoral roll will be updated on this page. So these processes already been there. It is part of the rules and provisions with respect to the registration of electoral rules. And it's just that we are today trying to politicize something which is, a basic process of law. It's good that the citizens are now becoming active. Their objections are being filed. I think it should be taken in good stance with all political parties that this activity is taking place in huge numbers. So that means the knowledge, the active involvement of the public has now started, which should be encouraged.
Okay, amply clear. You've made the manner in which there's a detailed process that needs to be followed. Anjali, I'm not sure if you heard Mr. Chandar, but a process indeed is followed, right? Even if the applicants in this case, are BJP workers inclined towards the Bharatiya Janata Party, whatever their background may be, if there is merit to the contention that is being raised via these applications, why should these applications not be A, filed, B, deliberated upon?
No, we never said that they should not be taken up.
No, because Arvind Kejriwal in the press conferences has made it very clear that who are these people who are filing these applications, all of that needs to be found out. Why is that even important today, Anjali?
No, it is important because it's not a normal thing, like 10,000 people are new applicants. And from where have they come? In 15 days, from where did they come?
Regardless, the contentions raised by them are going to be checked, investigated, probed. Just by filing an application, a voter's name will not be taken away or deleted from the electoral list.
No, but it's our duty and it's our prerogative to be alert and raise our suspicion. We think that these all people are state voters. They belong to the neighboring states, and they will come here and vote for BJP. And our voters are being deleted. 5,000 voters are
again without merit. Random people cannot be added to the electoral list of the national capital. Even if those people who the BJP wants to hypothetically ensure find a mention in this electoral list of the national capital, it's not going to happen if they don't qualify for it.
Christine, nowadays everything is happening, You also know everything can happen. Nowadays, BJP is totally rattled. That's why they have resorted to all unethical and illegal measures. You see what is happening in Delhi. In past few days, we saw when Kejriwal ji announced schemes like Sanjeevani and Mahila Samman Yojana. What did they do? They pressurized Women and Child Department to issue a notice against its own incumbent ruling party. It has never ever happened like this.
It's a lie. You're lying on air.
Just a minute. And then we saw Parvez Verma,
please do not lie and deceive
distributing
people. I will not allow you to deceive people.
1,100
No,
rupees
no.
all the women voters.
Arvind
saying that they
Kejriwal's
should vote
words-
for
Okay,
BJP.
so multiple-
Now today, just a minute. Today what happened? They are so rattled, so nervous because they don't have vision, they don't have planning, they don't have CM face. Today, Kejriwal ji announced 18,000 rupees salary to Pujaris and Granthis. Now, what did they do? They announced Haryana
What happened?
CM
The
announced
Muslim vote bank has left you.
scheme in which he raised salaries by 50% of clerics of Muslim clerics, and there wasn't any program for Hindu.
Speaking of clerics, Anjali, it's highly problematic there, and I don't want to digress really, but you know, the imams have come out to say that you've not paid us salaries on time for the last 17 months. The same amount is now being given to the Granthis and the Hindu priests,
that
but
is why-
where are you going
that
to
is
pay
why
them
it's
from?
happened.
You're not being able to pay them on time. But regardless, Mr. Kidwai, you want to quickly come in and respond. Do you think the Aam Aadmi Party in this case is backed with facts? Do you think they make a strong case when they're leveling these kind of allegations, given that all of this process is going to pass through official channels, which is the Election Commission in this case?
Thank you, Christine. We must remember some few things which are very elementary. Aam Aadmi Party is among 6 political parties in India which have a national party status. So we must respect them. They have roots in society. They have government in 2 states. They represent in some ways will of the people. So therefore, whatever the allegations are there, as well as the allegations coming from the BJP or Congress or Aam Aadmi Party, the Election Commission has to take a note of it. It is its role is very important when elections are around the corner, because it is very important to have good foolproof
Mr. Kidwai,
electoral
sorry
rules.
to interrupt you
If
there,
the-
but that process is being interrupted. The Aam Aadmi Party says, why are you conducting these kind of verification
Absolutely,
drives?
absolutely.
They're also
The-
raising
the-
questions with
and-
regards to
and-
how these
and-
applications are increasing in number. Why should all of this
and-
not be
and-
checked,
and-
especially after we've put out these ground reports? Something
No.
is not quite adding up.
If there are discrepancies, then it is the Election Commission's call. You see, there is a once the draft electoral roll is ready, there is a cut-off period, and then you cannot go on revising and reviving till one day before polling. So all these laws and norms need to be put in place. Here, what we are seeing is trust deficit between 2 political parties. Look at that kind of language that my good friend Shazia Ilmi is using. And of course, Shazia may be getting it back from the Aam Aadmi Party. Point I'm saying
What is the
there is
language
a
I'm
trust
using?
deficit. So we need
No,
to-
what is the language I'm using?
process-
Rashid भाई, आपको क्यों इतनी दिक्कत हो रही है मेरे उससे?
नहीं, मुझे
Rashid
आपकी
भाई was a
दिक्कत नहीं हो
very
रही।
gentle,
I've known you for-
good
I've known
soul,
you
my
for a
brother.
decade.
What is the
For
language?
years.
If I'm calling
You
him a
don't use
spider who's
language.
caught in his own web, what's wrong with that? No, what's wrong with him calling him a spider who's caught in his own web of deceit and lies? You know what happened on the Sanjeevani scheme? You know how he's lied about everything. You know how he lied about Arun Jaitley
all
and
political
Sukhbir
parties
Badal.
may-
Can I
and
just say
every
everybody's
Congress
free to
leader
raise their
who-
opinions and
party
make their
that you have
comments.
written about,
Make
Make
and
their
now he
comments
ran
this
off,
evening, so
what
let's not
is
make
wrong
it
with that?
personal. Let's not make it personal. But Shazia, Mr. Kidwai,
No,
let
it's
me
not
take it to
personal.
Shazia.
It's not personal.
Yes.
Why is he taking my name?
Absolutely. No,
I
it's not
Arvind
necessary.
Kejriwal
Nobody's
is
making
a
personal
spider
comments
who
here.
is caught
We're
in
all
his
here
own
to put our
web.
points
I
across.
repeat, Arvind Kejriwal is a spider who's caught in his own web of lies and deceit. I repeat, ad nauseum, and will continue to do so no matter how hurt Rashid Kidwai feels. He's a guy
Because
who's
he was
lied
your
about
leader once
everything.
upon a time.
He has
Never mind.
leveled charges, very serious charges, and have run away. We all know how he's spoken about your party, Rashid Kidwai, to whom you
No, I
pay
have no
allegiance
party,
with his Congress
and
party.
your party
How
was
he's
Aam
called
Aadmi
it
Party.
the Gangotri
You
of
used to
corruption.
consider him
Okay,
as your leader.
now we're
Everybody
definitely
in the
making it
party
personal.
is starting
Shazia,
from
I need to quickly,
whether it's
I need to move on to the
Sharad
next
Pawar
big
or Rahul
talking
Gandhi
point.
or Sonia Gandhi and everyone else. So Kapil Sibal and the rest. So please do not make me regret saying it, but you will regret having defended this party right now, Rashid Kidwai.
No, but to be fair
I
to
can
him
assure you
also,
that.
Shazia, I don't think he's holding back in raising those questions with the app as well this evening. So we must appreciate that. But yes, let's not make it personal. Shazia, my next question to you is, in fact,
why did he take my name? What is so personal about what I said? And why is he being personal about me? Yes, I know them very well because I was
Mr.
there.
Kidwai, would you
And
want to
now
take it back
you can all
so we
see
can
what
move
I
on?
saw
I'm saying-
10
I was
years back.
saying I was not making a mention about Shah. I was saying, look, there is such a trust deficit between two political parties who are fighting for election in Delhi. One person is calling for arrest of a union minister, other political is calling him a
but you did take Shazia's name. Let's not do that. You did take her name personally. Let's not do that. But Shazia,
can you
he's taking that back for now. My question to you is,
how dare he? I mean, what about Sanjeevani? No, I take it very personally, not by name. You fool people of Delhi. You call a scheme a bunch of lies that you just made up. You say it's a scheme and you take data. That is personalized. I take umbrage to the way Arvind Kejriwal is deceiving the people of Delhi.
Okay. Shazia, the question the Aam Aadmi Party and the question that the Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Gidwai, please hold on. Shazia, the question the Aam Aadmi Party,
you should be calling that out.
Oh yes, I have, and I've told him not to make it personal, and I think Mr. Gidwai is in agreement. So let's proceed. Shazia, my question to you, in fact, is going forward that even though the BJP has a certain questions to ask the Aam with regards to its own set of allegations, the one comment that's coming from the Aam Aadmi Party is also, the BJP is also a surge in these new registrations. So the BJP is also as much trying to indicate that there is some sort of manipulation that is taking place, which is being stoked by the Aam. Now, where are the facts in that? What's the BJP's claim there?
That's it. So, as your report showed, as many reports go, today there was a press conference done by BJP State President Viren Sachdeva ji and Parvesh Verma. You will be surprised to know that one particular ward which votes more for BJP than Kejriwal, there are deletions there of the voter list. So obviously Arvind Kejriwal, when he talks about voter list, he knows that he is the one who's been bungling up, he is the one who's tampering, he is the one and his people have been adding up votes, adding up voters, and now he knows that the same game is being called out because BJP booth level agents are very vigilant about it. And they're calling out, and they have every right to have Avedan Patra, as they call, or applications, questioning these names, and that's why saying, oh, EC is doing some garbad with us. Congress party does it post facto. Congress party, when they lose, this is what they come up with. Kejriwal has started doing it pre-facto. It's not even happened, but he knows that he's being called out because all the dhandli bazi that he's done is being caught. And he can't bear it, which is why he's saying, see...
No, but the BJP is not just talking about voter deletion. The BJP is also talking about...
That? Look at the language.
The BJP, Shazia, is also talking about new registrations to the electoral list that the Aam Aadmi Party is seeking and attempting to deliberately do.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I appreciate the fact that you raise this question. BJP, Aam Aadmi Party, Congress are all national parties. Rashid Bhai, I hope you know that. And all of them have a right to ask for deletions and additions. This will be finally done by the poll commission, the election commission, only after verification of documents.
Okay.
You can be from BSP, you can be from Samajwadi Party, you can be from Republican Party of India, you can be from BJP, AAP. The final call will be as per verification of certificates and documents provided by the parties involved and by the residents, so to speak, to the poll commission.
And both the objector and the objectee, the applicant in this case...
Let's not make it ugly and murky, we know the truth.
Yes, and the objectee are going to be given time and space to put forth their own version. Mr. Chandar, the buck definitely stops with the election commission officials, but what I want to ask is what was pointed out by Arvind Kejriwal. He spoke of the New Delhi Assembly segment and said, as of October, when the draft of the electoral list first came out, the New Delhi Assembly segment had a little over 1 lakh voters. Why should there be any change to that? January 1 is when the final list will come out, but he's saying the EC officials should have already done their job.
See, there is a time period, like you rightly pointed out, the time period still remains for the election commission to do the job. It's not a one-day job that you receive a list of objections and then the election commission has to decide it on the same day. They'll need their own time to verify the documents, give the opportunity of the other side. Like in the legal parlance we say, or the term audi alteram partem, every citizen have a right to be heard. So every person will be heard, opportunities will be given, documents will be verified, those processes will take time. As the citizens of our country, irrespective of whichever party, I think every political party should be allowed to raise objections. The objections will be decided by an election commission, which is an absolute or neutral party. So I don't see any reason
okay,
for...
So since it's not entirely wrong to raise these objections or cast these omissions or changes to the electoral list, Anjali, the allegation against the Aam Aadmi Party, all of this is just being done to keep the Aam Aadmi Party in the headlines and to gun for the Bharatiya Janata Party without any facts in place.
No, Christine, as I said, that it's very, very abnormal thing. The number of votes you see to be deleted and added.
These are just applications, Anjali. These are just applications. Those changes have not happened.
We have to be vigilant because by now all of us know that they can resort to any measure to win elections, and they have already understood, BJP has already understood that they are going to lose elections. So they will resort to any...
No, we already know that the Congress, the Aam Aadmi Party to an extent have had a problem with the election commission as well. They have called out the EC for being partisan, etc. But that doesn't mean that any sort of allegations can be made to the headlines, right? There has to be some merit in the allegations being leveled by the Aam Aadmi Party.
It's a very important and valid objection. And I think we should have done this, and that's why we have done this.
Okay. Shazia, last comment to you, and then I need to quickly wrap up.
So just like Anjali said, and I agree with her, everybody has a right to object. But everybody, when they raise their objections and they want either insertions or deletions, must submit documents and allow verification to be done by the poll commission, as has been done forever. So let's not muddy the waters.
So do you think this is a tit for tat, Shazia? Given that the BJP,
make it so ugly,
the BJP reached out to EC officials, sought an intervention. Do you think this is a tit for tat?
That's all.
Do you think this is a tit for tat, Shazia?
No, it is in a way, because I just feel that Arvind Kejriwal is so beleaguered. The basic answers that he is not given to the questions that have been asked. He raised the questions of deletions, but when there were people there from the same team, from the same bunch of people who said it was insinuated that they had a problem with the election commission, those people actually said, no, we have been voting. So, I think he's not done his homework and his back is to the wall. He is realizing he's feeling the heat, and so he's going here helter-skelter, trying to make some kind of environment and to say, oh, I'm being victimized yet again.
Even if these changes,
election commission, we must all learn to trust election commission.
Even if these changes take the last very day,
Kejriwal win handsomely. Handsomely, Kejriwal has won handsomely. From Punjab, from Delhi, so many times over. If there was indeed any bias, he would not have been there. So I rest my case. I don't have to speak for the poll commission. The entire country speaks for it.
Okay, so even if it takes the very last day for any such implementation, it all comes down to whether it's facts or fiction. And in this case, if these allegations hold true, if there is any merit to these allegations via these applications that are being filed with the election commission, well, investigations must take place, and we must see that in the finalities of the electoral list in the national capital. Gentlemen, Shazia and Anjali, many thanks for joining us this evening. We need to head into a very short break, viewers. On the other side, we shift our attention to how India's lost the Melbourne Test to Australia, even as questions are being raised on Yashasvi Jaiswal and Akashdeep's dismissals. The big question we ask is what led to the loss, and what really is this controversy all about? Whether this was a result of unfair umpiring. We'll be right back.
A major controversy has erupted at the closing stages of the Melbourne Test, with the wicket of Yashasvi Jaiswal being the biggest talking point. It was a controversial decision for many of the Indian fans, but a decision that Australia would have welcomed, because that opened the floodgates for Australia, with India succumbing to yet another loss. They head into the Sydney Test now with a deficit of 1-2, with Australia leading 2-1 and very much in contention to retain the VGT for the first time in 8 years. But let's talk about the controversial decision first. What it was actually that happened in the 71st over, when Pat Cummins coming over the wicket bowled a bouncer to Yashasvi Jaiswal, and Jaiswal tried to hook the delivery, only managing to get a very faint edge of his glove taken by wicketkeeper Alex Carey. Australians went up with an appeal, but on-field umpire Joel Wilson turned down the decision, which was again referred to the TV umpire, and TV umpire Sharafuddollah Saikat reviewed the replays, and on the basis of the primary evidence that he had on the deflection on that delivery, Yashasvi Jaiswal was given out, overturning the decision of Joel Wilson, which pretty much divided the opinions. Indian fans at MCG really calling the entire proceeding and showing their frustration, venting out, with chants of cheaters, but if you look at the decision, how it panned out, as you can see on the screen very much clearly, the replay show there was a very clear deflection there as the ball passed Yashasvi Jaiswal a glove, and noted umpire Simon Toffel also said that the TV umpire's decision here was right, because there is a hierarchy of redundancy which the TV umpires use. The first primary evidence was this deflection itself, which was what Saikat, the third umpire, went in with. The sneakometer did definitely come in, but that was only to confirm or just to support the fact that whether the deflection also was picked up, the audio of the deflection was picked up on the sneakometer, which unfortunately was not the case. And here is where the veracity of the technology also comes into play. But when the sneako did not show any spike, which has led to the controversy, when it was flashed on the big screen, everybody saw it. Even Yashasvi Jaiswal was aghast with the fact that there was no sneakometer, there was no reading on sneakometer, yet he was given out. But the decision to give Jaiswal out was based on the primary evidence, which was the deflection here, and there was no other need for Saikat, the third umpire, to go to his secondary form of evidence, which was the sneakometer. Here he stuck to his first evidence, which was the deflection, and that is where India pretty much lost out the game, because if Jaiswal would have continued to bat for another 10-15 overs, which was close to the stumps on day 5 itself, India could have salvaged that draw, but that wicket really opened up the floodgates for Australia, and India went on to lose 3 more quick wickets, and Australia wrapped up the innings claiming a win, and they head into the Sydney test with a lead of 2-1. With this loss, what it means that India would need to win the series.
Welcome back, viewers. The Indian Test series in Australia is perhaps one of the most talked about in the history of Test face-offs between the two nations. The 5th and the final day of the 4th Test at the Melbourne cricket ground came as a setback for the men in blue, as they suffered a blow in the batting order, except perhaps the likes of Yashasvi Jaiswal, that kept India in the game till the final moments before a controversial DRS decision led to his dismissal, thereby crushing India's hopes and giving a 2-1 lead to the Aussies in the ongoing Test series. The opinion on social media is divided on whether this was a fair call by the third umpire. Why the controversy? It was because Jaiswal had scored 84 runs when he was dismissed owing to the third umpire's decision. In fact, he was initially found not out by the on-field umpire, but upon review sought by the Australian side, the third umpire cited video evidence to suggest a deflection of Jaiswal's gloves or the bat. What made the opener's case strong, though in the imagination of the fans at least, was that the sneako technology indicated no edge. Basically, as per the sneakometer, the ball did not deviate. Shortly after the third umpire's ruling, the Indian audience resorted to chants of cheater, and among experts and fans alike, a new discussion is ignited over the use of technology in cricket. Before we open this up with our experts joining us this evening, here's our captain Rohit Sharma, who's also to a large extent facing the fans' ire for his relatively poor showing this series, reacted to the controversy around Jaiswal's ouster.
Really, I don't know what to make of that because the technology didn't show anything, but with the naked eye, it seemed that he did touch something. So I don't know how the umpires want to use the technology. More often than not, we are the ones falling on the wrong side of it.
All right, so that's pretty much the sentiment of Rohit Sharma. Do remember that his poor showing, at least all of the series so far, has been questioned by many experts as well, not just his. The performance so far put up by Virat Kohli, the ace batter, is also in question. And in fact, many angry fans have been seeking their removal in the Sydney Test, which is the last and the final test in the ongoing series, which, by the way, viewers, to put this in perspective, is also very important for the Indian side going forward into the finals of the WTC, the World Chess Championship. It is incumbent upon the men in blue to win the last test match against Australia, which is slated to take place in Sydney, else their spot in the World Test Championship final is going to be something that's perhaps going to be left to a dream run. Ayaz Memon, senior sports journalist, joins us on the broadcast. A very good evening to you, sir. So much debate that's taking place with regards to what really happened earlier today. All of that was to an extent put to rest by the admission made, by Rohit Sharma, who said that yes, there was a touch over the bat. But what do you make of the controversy in its entirety, and who do you think is to be blamed really? Is it the batting order, not just Jaiswal, because he really did try to, pull off the game to an extent that we did see it favouring the Indian side, at least, the last few runs, but overall as well, what do you make?
Well, I think the controversy kind of emerged because, we've all got so conditioned to letting technology decide for us decisions, whether it's right or wrong or not. Well, actually, the decision is vested in the umpire and the umpire's interpretation of whether it's, you talk of the technology or not. With the on-field umpire gives the decision, sees based on how he has seen it. And then there is the third umpire, who, if the referral goes to him, he also has to assess the evidence that he sees, and which is what he explained, that yes, there was, technology can sometimes be misleading. It has happened earlier. It's not the first time that, you've not seen any movement on the snicko. But on the evidence of what he saw, that the deflection is there, that's where he made the decision. And I think when you look at it, it's in a sense been corroborated by what Rohit Sharma said in the post-match press conference, that he also felt that he said that there was a deflection and he felt that the batsman had got a touch. So I think that really is the situation. But the larger debate, of course, for now the technical committee of the ICC to decide is whether one should be, in such cases, depend only on technology or the interpretation by the third umpire or whoever is in charge of that.
Okay, very interesting you say that. Atul Vasan, a former Indian cricketer with us on the broadcast as well. Atul, would you go with what Mr. Memon is saying? He's of course backing Rohit Sharma and his conclusion, but then there's also a Sunil Gavaskar who's come out to say very clearly and is in as many words, what's the point of technology if it can't be relied on? And the deviation perhaps could be the result of a late swing.
Not really. I mean, I go with my husband. Once you've opened the bottle and the genie is out, this technology, even the ball tracking, if you see, that also is not very conclusive because it is based on missile technology, and when the ball bounces, whatever is shown is just an idea because if different surfaces, what crack, so it's just hypothecation of this, and it's based on missile technology. So when was the last time you saw a missile bounce? So exactly my point. So now this is there. We are halfway house. I think that's why in the game of cricket, it is saying, and Ayaz is an old world guy like me, you're never out when you're out. You're only out when the umpire says you're out. That's the ethos of cricket. And I think if the umpire who's seeing it has taken a call, just leave it at that. Because and these are not the reasons we lost, by the way.
Okay, Mr. Memon, before I ask Atul what really are the reasons, I really want an answer on that. But what do you make of, the public sentiment at large? This debate that's been sparked off on social media, and I think there's much outpouring also because the on-field umpire, did not dismiss Jaiswal, and this was indeed a very crucial inning for the Indian side going into, the finals of the WTC, and how this perhaps was one of the biggest deciding factors so far. But do you think this was unfair umpiring by any means? What would you say to fans who are calling it that, or do you think this was self-destruction? I mean, losing 7 wickets for 34 runs needs more explanation than that, don't you think?
Oh, certainly. I think it's a sense of acute disappointment that India couldn't save the match. There was a streak of hope that we may even win the match. Always difficult to score 340 runs on the last day against a very strong team like Australia in their home conditions. So not being able to save the match when it seemed that Pant and Jaiswal had done well enough to see the day through. Remember, the margin of victory for Australia is 184, which is massive. So there is nothing to suggest that, okay, if Jaiswal hadn't been given out, then he would have batted right till the end. There is no way of knowing that. So I think one has to see what the outpouring is, because I think it's actually reflecting, in a sense, the disappointment with the Indian batting more than anything else. Because India lost this match having put themselves into a situation where at one stage when Australia were 90 for 6 the previous day, India were pretty much, had created an environment or an opportunity where they could win the match. And then certainly on the last day, there was an option to go and draw the match. But if you lose 3 wickets for 33 runs, your top order is snuffed out, then it's very difficult to save a match. And then 7 wickets falling in the last session tells you how well Australia played. In batting, in bowling, in fielding, in the captaincy that Pat Cummins displayed, I thought that they were top rating. That's why they won.
Yeah. What would you attribute, Atul, to this poor showing on part of the top batting order, apart from this one partnership that did justice to the game? What explains this? Even for a Reddy, for instance, to have, managed a centurion in the first innings and, having been knocked out for one.
This happens. You can't expect, if you get 100, you can't expect 100 every time. And that is why, once people start doing well, they bring this problem onto yourself that more is expected of you. But I think we lost, when Jaiswal was batting in the first innings and that run out, everybody knows whose mistake it was. Then if you are set and they were batting together, I was seeing that how comfortable Jaiswal was compared to Virat Kohli. And it happens. And not saying that, and Jaiswal is much lower in quality as yet and his body of work than Virat Kohli, by the way. But Virat Kohli, once making a mistake, why couldn't he sacrifice? He could have walked out, and saved Jaiswal, because that was a better chance for India. So that this will happen. Then you let the last wicket score 60. India could be chasing 280. It's a different ball game altogether, So then Australia would also be making mistakes, So you create these opportunities in Test cricket. Nitish gave you a chance. You clawed your way back. Bumrah, brilliance again, helped you. But again, you kept on giving those gaps to them. And Australia is not a team that they'll let you go.
Besides, Bumrah's team has left nothing to chance. The bowling has been splendid through and through. But Atul, would you want to also briefly comment on how questions are being raised on the technology being inaccurate, the fact that a third umpire has possibly cited video evidence, and that is the case. That is supposed to be the final word. But there's also a common saying that everybody follows in cricket, which is how the benefit of doubt goes to the batsman in this case. And if the snakeometer did not in fact catch that deviation, it does indeed spark a big debate. And is sure to.
I think you have made your mind that you only going to talk and you're going to find a reason that we lost this match because of unfair.
Because so much is being spoken of with regards to inaccuracy around technology, so on and so forth. And
No. Because of people like you, we got neutral umpires in, and now even in neutral umpires you're calling unfair umpiring. I thank God you haven't seen when we used to play and we used to go and tour Australia, New Zealand, and Pakistan especially, and then you should see those umpiring. And ask Ayaz Menon. This is the fairest you can get. Don't find excuses where they're not. India didn't do
so the Bangladeshi umpire is being unfairly targeted.
Oh, it's the Bangladeshi. I didn't know that, because once you said neutral umpires, then it doesn't really matter. He could be from Mars also.
Okay, Mr. Vemin, what's your thought on this? This whole technology debate and how it needs to find a better place in current cricket.
No, I think the use of technology is wonderful, but the umpires have a certain locus and a certain position in the sport. Now, either you disrespect it and throw all the umpires out and rely only on technology. If you're going to be disbelieving of any decision taken by the umpire, then why have them? I just wanted to raise the point, a theoretical point, that it happens sometimes, the current fails, the electricity fails. The technology might go on the blink. You might not get the sneakometer may not have registered anything, but you would have had the replays to see what should the decision have been.
No, that's what Atul is pointing out. I mean, gone are those days, when you would actually not think about questioning the third umpire's decision, but that's currently not the time that we're living in, Atul. But, with regards to how all of this is being spoken of, given Jaiswal's dismissal, there's a larger picture that needs to be focused on, and Rohit Sharma has put that into perspective going into the Sydney Test. How crucial do you think that's going to be for India, and how do you see them placed? Because there certainly is a lack of motivation as we speak, and you can sense it coming in from each and every player, even the bowlers to an extent.
See, okay, I'll start by saying that, Rohit and Virat, we are questioning them. Yes, they have to be questioned because, in cricket, even you learn from Australia, even Ricky Ponting got a tap on his shoulder saying that either you declare your, succession plan when you're going to retire, otherwise we're going to drop you. You are the best player, but we need to build the team again. So this is this kind of, maturity our cricket doesn't have. I think if I was Rohit Sharma in this state of mind I would not play myself. It's happened in the past when a test captain has dropped himself and there is not eating humble pie. It makes sense because Sarfraz is our test player. You have developed him. He's carrying drinks for how many months now? So what's the point? And let it be. He says because the way he's playing with Rohit Sharma, not saying he's the greatest across all formats if you see, but if he is not in the mind where we can see that Rohit Sharma with trigger movement, that dismissal in the first inning shows you that he is not in a very good place. So I think, I would respect him.
And in cricket, just like in any other sport, you have good days, you have bad days. Holding it against an athlete is also unfair. At least that's what Atul would say.
Lately, more bad days.
Okay, both bad days. Mr. Memon, the last question to you before we wrap up, and I want to go down to basics, because there are people who are still not very well versed with the idea of, where essentially do technologies like a snickometer or ultra edge perhaps come into the game, and at what stage are they consulted? So if you could quickly break down that process for our viewers, and then we'll wrap it up.
No, I think technology is a very useful tool. I mean, we've seen that, and technology has also made the game a little more exciting, more watchable. In that sense, also made it fairer. But I think ultimately it's also on how the need for having the umpires there cannot be diminished. Yeah. Otherwise, every question should go to the snickometer or Hawkeye. Why have any on-field and third umpire sitting in the third umpire is also watching the replay, which is also part of technology. Let's not forget that.
So when do you go back to, let's say, what the snickometer says? Is it when the third umpire is in doubt?
I think the issue here has been that the third umpire overruled the on-field umpire based on what he saw in the replay, and he did not go by the snickometer. Because he felt that what I've seen is evidence enough. I don't need to rely on the snickometer. That was his interpretation.
So basically, So there are four senses in cricket when you first is how the batsman reacts after he's hit the ball or has not hit the ball. Second thing is your eyes. Third thing is your ears. And then the whole, if you played the game, then you know what is possible. And now technology also, so all the senses have been brought in. And if these three wise men in the middle, because of the luxury given to the players for this going like this, and this is probably, I hate see umpires go hug themselves like this. It is like biggest insult because they said, okay, I was wrong. Again, and if you see this in test matches, it breaks my heart.
Okay, all right. So, two decisions under lens, not to forget the one that KL Rahul in fact pulled off in the first test as well, which has sparked off this parallel debate. But let's just hope that India is able to attain redemption going into the Sydney test. Gentlemen, thank you so much for that very insightful conversation. We are into a very short break with that, viewers. But on the other side, the latest developments over the Anna University sexual assault case. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
A major controversy has erupted at the closing stages of the Melbourne Test, with the wicket of Yashasvi Jaiswal being the biggest talking point. It was a controversial decision for many of the Indian fans, but a decision that Australia would have welcomed, because that opened the floodgates for Australia. With India succumbing to yet another loss, they head into the Sydney Test now with a deficit of 1-2, with Australia leading 2-1 and very much in contention to retain the VGT for the first time in 8 years. But let's talk about the controversial decision first. What it was actually that happened in the 71st over, when Pat Cummins, coming over the wicket, bowled a bouncer to Yashasvi Jaiswal, and Jaiswal tried to hook the delivery, only managing to get a very faint edge off his glove, taken by wicketkeeper Alex Carey. Australians went with an appeal, but on-field umpire Joel Wilson turned down the decision, which was again referred to the TV umpire, and TV umpire Sharafuddollah Saikat reviewed the replays, and on the basis of the primary evidence that he had on the deflection on that delivery, Yashasvi Jaiswal was given out, overturning the decision of Joel Wilson, which pretty much divided the opinions. Indian fans at MCG really calling the entire proceeding and showing their frustration, venting out with chants of cheaters. But if you look at the decision, how it panned out, as you can see on the screen very much clearly, the replay show there was a very clear deflection there as the ball passed Yashasvi Jaiswal a glove, and noted umpire Simon Toffel also said that the TV umpire's decision here was right, because there is a hierarchy of redundancy which the TV umpires use. The first primary evidence was this deflection itself, which was what Saikat, the third umpire, went in with. The sneakometer did definitely come in, but that was only to confirm or just to support the fact that whether the deflection also was picked up. The audio of the deflection was picked up on the sneakometer, which unfortunately was not the case, and here is where the veracity of the technology also comes into play. But when the sneako did not show any spike, which has led to the controversy, when it was flashed on the big screen, everybody saw it. Even Yashasvi Jaiswal was aghast with the fact that there was no sneakometer, there was no reading on sneakometer, yet he was given out. But the decision to give Jaiswal out was based on the primary evidence, which was the deflection here, and there was no other need for Saikat, the third umpire, to go to his secondary form of evidence, which was the sneakometer. Here he stuck to his first evidence, which was the deflection, and that is where India pretty much lost out the game, because if Jaiswal would have continued to bat for another 10-15 overs, which was close to the stumps on day 5 itself, India could have salvaged a draw, but that wicket really opened up the floodgates for Australia, and India went on to lose 3 more quick wickets, and Australia
Welcome back. You're watching The Right Stand. Amid the massive outrage and political tussle over the sexual assault case from Anna University campus in Chennai, actor turned politician Vijay earlier today met Tamil Nadu Governor Arun Ravi. The sexual assault of the second-year student on the campus of Anna University on the 23rd December sparked protests across the state. Now, Tamil Nadu BJP chief K.N. Amalai also met the governor. The incident, remember, has led to the arrest of 1 person, and 4 special police teams are working on the case. It's not just Tamil Nadu, viewers. The incident has sparked off a nationwide outrage. In the national capital, for instance, the ABVP students staged protest outside Tamil Nadu Bhavan over the sexual assault case. The demonstrators, in fact, raised slogans and called for accountability from the university administration and local authorities. The protest also highlights ongoing concerns regarding student safety and the handling of such incidents by educational institutions. In the meanwhile, in a surprising turn of events, an aide of actor turned politician Vijay was detained by the police today for distributing a handwritten letter from Vijay addressing women's safety at the controversy hit Anna University. Now, B. Anand, the General Secretary of Vijay's party TVK and also a close aide of the actor turned politician, was thereafter held for distributing the pamphlets without prior permission. According to reports, he was later released from custody, but the actor's letter, which was shared on Instagram account of his political outfit, also addressed the sisters and the women of the state, expressed deep concerns about the state of women's safety in Tamil Nadu. In fact, Vijay did question who should be asked to make women feel safe in the state, while raising all of those questions with the DMK indirectly, and stated that seeking answers from the government had proven pointless so far. In the meanwhile, Tamil Nadu BJP chief K.N. Amalai also posted on platform X. He said, "We welcome the fact that the president of TVK, Vijay, also met and spoke to the Honorable Governor about the insecurity of women under the DMK regime." While condemning the DMK government for its continued attempts to divert the case, he said, "I, as the brother of the victim student, request all parties to come forward. Our sisters must get justice." In the meanwhile, a two-member delegation of the National Commission of Women also arrived at Anna University earlier today to investigate the assault of the 19-year-old student that occurred on the campus premises. The fact-finding committee was formed on Saturday after the NCW took note of the case based on news reports and social media posts. The committee, consisting of NCW member Mamta Kumari and former Maharashtra Director General of Police Praveen Dikshit, arrived on Sunday evening. The NCW team in fact told your channel that the investigation will continue and they will return tomorrow to proceed with the investigation. Actor Vijay has also come out with a statement in the latest. Remember, he met the governor in the state earlier today. He says in the situation, the incident of sexual assault of a student of Anna University, Chennai, has caused great uproar among the people of Tamil Nadu. In this context, he says, I wrote a letter to the sisters of the state and that was published today itself. In it, he says, I appealed and I quote, in all situations, I will definitely stand firm with you as a brother and a fortress. Do not worry about anything and focus on your education, unquote. Is it democratic to arrest our party comrades who met people in a charitable manner without distributing anyone, is what was asked and questioned by the actor, and also cited freedom of expression and speech. He then said people will not tolerate such anti-democratic actions for too long. That's all we could pack to you in this edition of The Right Stand. Thanks for watching. My colleague Akanksha Swaroop joins you in just a bit on the brass tacks.
Co-powered by
A major controversy has erupted at the closing stages of the Melbourne Test, with the wicket of Yashasvi Jaiswal being the biggest talking point. It was a controversial decision.